Over the past decade, I've trained over 100 B2B sales teams and thousands of sales reps to bring in over 3,000 deals into pipelines. So in this video, I'm condensing 10 years and 100 million generated into 24 lessons you can implement right now to help your sales department add anywhere from 300K to 1.5 million in annual contracted value in the next 90 days. Lesson 1, structure scales talent. Freestyling feels elite, but usually creates chaos. I used to believe good reps should be left alone. The best ones sound great, so let them do their thing and let everyone else try and copy. But everyone else copied the wrong parts. Most leaders think structure kills creativity, so reps are allowed to run their own plays. Performance then becomes impossible to reproduce. If your top reps start having bad months, how are they going to get out of the rut when they're completely freestyling? Top performers don't actually freestyle. They execute patterns extremely well. You need to standardize talk tracks, discovery flows, deal progression, and allow creativity, but only inside the constraint. Lesson 2, motivation is personal. If incentives and commission aren't driving performance, this is for you. Money is not everyone's primary motivator. I've watched top reps miss bonuses and commission accelerators that they clearly understood. They just did not care enough to change behavior. Leaders typically assume higher commission equals higher performance. It feels rational, but it often fails. So instead of pulling out the checkbook every time, understand that different reps are driven by different internal rewards. To get the most out of each rep, you need to learn what each individual rep values, whether that's status, mastery, stability, recognition, autonomy, and each individual rep's incentives should reflect that. Lesson 3, build around strengths. Likewise to reps, motivators, uniform expectations ignore the human reality of your reps. Some reps will be brilliant at opening, others will be lethal at closing. However, forcing symmetry between reps will lower your output across the board. Sales teams like to chase the mythical complete rep, but they rarely exist. Everyone's heard play to your strengths. Performance compounds when strengths are amplified. If you have some strong reps, design roles and responsibilities around their natural strengths. Lesson 4, context beats dogma. If you've ever copied a sales strategy you've seen on LinkedIn or in a book, this one will hit home. There is no single right strategy when it comes to sales. I've seen every single contradictory approach work extremely well. In reality, context always mattered more than ideology. Leaders are always looking for the best methodology, keeping an ear to the ground of knowing what their competitors are doing and implementing that into what they do, but they always ignore the fit. Strategy must match the market, the product, and team maturity. Now, if things aren't working and you want to implement a new strategy, that's fine, but just test deliberately. Only commit to a methodology or a strategy after the evidence appears. Lesson 5, depth over peaks. Now, I've seen some superstars in teams before, but I would rather have 10, 6, 7s out of 10 than a few 9 out of 10s and the rest 4 out of 10s, because superstars will hide systemic weakness across the team. I've seen these few top reps carry the number, hit quota, and the rest drag the averages down. Leaders will chase peak performance out of their top reps instead of boosting that baseline strength, whereas consistency beats brilliance at scale. So you need to be designing for dependable competence across the team. Lesson 6, revenue pods win. If you've ever had handoffs slow your deals down, this is for you. Individual reps are fragile systems. I've seen the biggest deals die when one person has dropped the ball. Revenue pods removed single points of failure. Sales is often built around the individuals. However, buyers experience multi-threaded organizational decisions. Revenue pods will mirror how buyers actually buy. So practically, you need to be grouping sales roles by outcome, not function. Have an AE paired up with an SDR and a technical salesperson and a customer success, instead of having all of your customer success, all of your AEs, all of the SDRs with their own mission. Have them work together on each deal to reduce deal fall-throughs. Lesson 7, let hunters hunt, let farmers farm. Now, not all reps should hunt for deals. Some reps I've worked with hate prospecting, but are incredible at nurturing the live deals through to completion. However, teams will force everyone into that same role. Hunting and farming are completely different skills. Your hunters won't have the patience to wait for the deals to progress. Your farmers won't be fast enough to chase the prospects down. So you need to separate these roles intentionally. Lesson 8, Context creates performance. I'm sure you've had a new hire not work out before. This is why. Past success does not transfer automatically. I've seen top performers from one enterprise SaaS move to a new enterprise SaaS in the same field and completely fail. And that's because the environment changed. Leaders tend to look at the value of the logos and the track records instead of comparing the environment and the sales system that they are moving between. Sales success is system dependent. So you should be hiring for either the exact fit of the system or for adaptability, not for history. Lesson 9, lead from the sidelines. Now, this one might hurt, but it's very true. Coaches should not play the game. When leaders sell, teams defer responsibility. It feels supportive to be selling and contributing to the quota, but in reality, it creates dependency. Leadership is leverage, not execution. Step off the field, design the system. Now, I understand it is useful for sales leaders to still be selling, just don't be selling on the same field. Play a different game. In your sales team's game, just support. Lesson 10, confidence multiplies skill. Belief drives behavior. Confident reps outperform more skilled ones 10 times out of 10. Teams will always train the tactics, sharpen the axe, but never the mindset. Confidence changes the complete dynamic of how buyers respond. So it's crazy that we're never training the confidence and the belief systems. Simply build proof loops and create small wins as early as possible and as often as possible. When your sales reps are confident, your targets will be hit. Because lesson 11, revenue is a team sport. Sales should not operate in a vacuum. I've seen countless product and marketing decisions create objections that sales teams just have to absorb because departments optimize locally. However, in reality, revenue is organizational. If you create cross-functional feedback loops across teams, it makes everyone's life easier. Sales teams are prepared with any changes coming. They're never overcommitting. The messaging is in tune between marketing and sales, and it means that everyone is on the same team. Lesson 12, onboarding is paramount. Onboarding determines trajectory. I've seen weak onboarding create the biggest permanent performance gaps. Teams will rush onboarding to hit activity. You've heard we want you to hit the ground running. Without proper onboarding, early bad habits will compound. You need to overinvest in the first 30 days, not only for performance, but for rep retention. So lesson 13, repetition creates mastery. If you've spent a full day doing training before and it's gone in one ear and out the other, this is for you. Learning, unfortunately, is perishable. One-off training has never started. Teams will treat training as events, but you will only remember 20% of an event. Repetition creates that reflex. You want any training you do to be so ingrained into your sales reps by reinforcing weekly, reviewing constantly, so they can breathe the training. They go to sleep thinking about the training. They wake up thinking about the training because that's the only way to guarantee the training sticks. Lesson 14, learn by doing. Now, with the training in mind, practice matters more than theory. So too much training has slowed momentum in the past. Leaders will over-educate, take their team off the field more than they're on the field. Skills really only form through execution. So you need to be sat next to your reps, do little training, and the split should be 20% training time, 80% performing time. Train briefly, perform heavily. Lesson 15 is competition elevate. Competition raises standards. I've seen friendly rivalry lift the entire teams. However, leaders and managers tend to fear the internal competition and squash it as soon as it starts to appear. Competition will sharpen effort, it makes performance visible, and it rewards progress. The caveat being you need to own the competition. If your reps are building competition between themselves, that's where it can turn nasty. Lesson 16, visibility prevents surprise. If you've had mystery deals appear or deals fall out of the pipeline by surprise, this is for you. What you cannot see controls you. Hidden deals will just completely distort your forecasts. And teams like to protect their pipeline. It's great to have a strong pipeline, but visibility will create that accountability. As the sales lead, you need to know exactly what your sales reps have in their pipeline and what's real and what's not. As a sales rep, there is no point in having a bloated pipeline of deals that aren't going to come in. It only causes problems all the way through and you don't get paid for it anyway. You need to expose the deal reality as soon as possible. Lesson 17, focus creates output. Now, sales reps will always feel busy, but sometimes they will feel ineffective. Focus drives the output. The highest performing sales reps obsess over one activity. Most teams will spread their attention thin, be trying to spin multiple plates, but one core task drives results. You need to define the single highest leverage activity and spend 80% of your time doing that. That focus will compound, and if it's your highest leverage activity, you'll have the most success. Lesson 18, frequency beats formality. Now, you may look forward to your monthly one-to-ones or you may hate them, but monthly check-ins are too late. Problems will compound between meetings. Leaders will rely on the regular cadence instead of close proximity. Imagine how many bad habits can form across those 4 weeks if you don't know what's going on with your sales reps. Coaching needs to be continuous. Increase the touch points, shorten the amount of time that you spend with the reps, but also shorten those feedback loops. Lesson 19, patterns appear early. Now, I'm sure you've hired a sales rep before and hoped they got better. Well, performance reveals itself quickly. Strong reps will always show the signs early, but most leaders delay the hard calls. I've found at the latest, trends will appear by month 4. So you need to act on this evidence early. If you keep a bad sales rep in the team, it brings the whole team's performance down. Lesson 20, expect movement. Now, sales rep turnover is inevitable. I've seen the top reps that are earning more than everyone else in the company leave and leave for less pay. Teams will expect loyalty. However, sales careers are transient. You need to design for continuity, expect churn, always be looking for that next rep that can come in and support your team because most best reps will leave. Lesson 21, protect what works. Now, improvement can be destructive. Fixing working systems has broke momentum more times than I can count. Leaders will always be optimizing, but I tend to find a 20% decrease in output every change. So instead of optimizing endlessly, keep what's working, build stability around that, because over time, stability compounds. You will still get increase in performance if you can keep things stable. Change only with evidence of something not working, not because it's a shiny new approach to things. Lesson 22, meetings create momentum. If meetings have gone nowhere before, this is for you. Meetings are conversion points. Great meetings have still led to deals stalling after great conversations because reps end meetings politely instead of creating the next one. Every meeting should create the next meeting. Close every meeting with a commitment or book a meeting from a meeting. Lesson 23, practice the discomfort. Now, I know you probably hate role play, but awkward practice prevents painful reality. 100% of the time, role play feels uncomfortable, but no matter how uncomfortable, the results will improve. Teams always avoid the discomfort, but real skill requires exposure, and the amount of team learning and team building that you get from role playing is unfathomable. So you need to normalize role play weekly. After 2 weeks, it will feel normal. The awkwardness will have gone. So 2 weeks of pain for a year of success. I'd make that trade every day. Lesson 24, listening wins deals. Now this one will break some beliefs. Quiet reps often outperform loud ones. Introverts listen better and close better. People will always think the traditional best salespeople are confident, loud, chatty, but sales rewards understanding. It's not about how much they can communicate, it's how much they can listen. You need to hire for depth, not dominance. Now, if you're watching this thinking, all right, now I know how my sales team is going to crush it in 2026, that's exactly where most decision makers get stuck. Understanding a strategy doesn't put meetings on the calendar. A system does. So instead of trying to remember 20 different ideas and hoping your team actually executes them, click the next video where I break down the exact system that added 50 monthly meetings and led to a 42 million Series A in 90 days. The complete targeting, messaging, and orchestration strategy we installed. Outbound still works, it's just brutal without a system. I'll see you in the next one.